G'day Bomber fans, it was Friday night footy yesterday. The Dons took on the Demons away from home at Icon Park. It was a must-win clash to keep finals hopes alive. Unfortunately though, it was a fifth straight loss for the Bombers, and now the season looks like it's done. It is carcass. I think even if the Bombers win every game from now on, which is unlikely in itself, we'd still need to boost that percentage up quite a bit. So it is not very good after a few smashings in recent weeks. But yeah, despite the loss, it was another improved effort against a much better team. The Demons are second on the ladder and we took it to them. So let's chat about this game. Remember to leave your votes in the comments along with the role player attached. Quarter by quarter recap. The first was pretty horrific early. The Demons were belting us in that first 10 minutes. They kicked 3 goals in the first 6 minutes or 7 minutes of playtime. 2 off the boot of Taylor Harris. They had the ball living inside their 50. We did rally late. Grace Brooker got her first goal for the club, but we were down at quarter time facing an uphill battle to reverse that lead. The second quarter was much improved defensively. The D's were the only side to kick a goal for the term, but we did have lots of the territory in our forward half and gave ourselves a couple of chances as well, although we couldn't make the most of them, which was a common theme throughout the game. The D's grew their lead by 5 points heading into halftime. The third, copy and paste, it was pretty much exact the same as the second. The Demons got that goal on the board to hurt us. We had our chances, but again, more behinds. It was a really defensive game of footy. Chances were harder to come by than most games, but we weren't making the most of ours when we had them, and we trailed at three-quarter time by 4 goals. The final term, we finally started making the most of our chances. Georgia G continued her goal-scoring form. Holly Riderwood put one, a beauty through near the end as well. We reduced the margin. We fought till the end, but it wasn't meant to be. In the end, the Bombers just were not the better team out there. It was 22-36 at the full-time siren. A decent performance, but not enough to get over the line, so let's talk about it. Oh yeah, really, this game was won in the first 6 minutes and 30 seconds of game time, because that is when the Demons had just kicked their first 3 goals. It was 19-0 with 10 minutes 30 left on the clock in the first quarter. It was the hottest of starts from Melbourne. I thought it was going to be a belting when that third went through in the goal square by Taylor Harris. After that goal, though, it's like we realised there was a game of footy on and actually, started playing. And if you count the scores after that third goal in the 6 minutes, we were 22 points and the Demons were 17. So after that 3-goal streak that they went on, we had the game. Well, not really, probably, realistically. I don't know. But I don't even know if we had an inside 50 up until that stage. The first quarter count, we had 2. And then by the end of the game, we reduced the differential of the inside 50s completely to make it a lot more even. I don't know. It was a really slow and sluggish start that cost us a potential close game of footy. I'm not going to say it cost us the win, even though we scored more points after quarter time because quite a few of them were end time points. But we got a few late goals to reduce the margin. But yeah, I thought we were never really a chance of winning after half-time, especially not at three-quarter time. We were never going to win from there. We actually played pretty well for most of the game and defended really well after that first quarter. As I said, it was a defensive game of footy. Both teams are throwing key players back. We had Bonnie and Sophie Alexander in defence for large chunks. The D's threw Taylor Harris back there. But there was too much to overcome by the end of the game, unfortunately. It's always frustrating when you can pinpoint a pretty specific reason or period in the game that decided the result. Not necessarily saying we would have won the game, but this decided the result by quarter time. But yeah, we would have had a chance to if we weren't that slow to start. They scored 3 goals for the first 6 or 7 minutes and then 2 for the rest of the game after that. And we were just not good enough when it mattered, and the D's capitalised on that and made us pay. And that's what good teams do. I don't think Melbourne really proved anything to anyone this game. They were probably not at their very best. They didn't set the world alight after that 3-goal patch, but they stay second on the ladder. They get a scrappy win, and that's what good teams do. And unfortunately, at the right times, we were doing the wrong things. Credit to the Bombers for fighting it out. I was looking at a proper blowout after that 3rd goal, but the last 2 weeks, Essendon haven't lost any fans. We've played first and second on the ladder and given them a real run for their money. We haven't made it comfortable for the 2 best teams, which is, if anything, frustrating, because you look at the games before that where we got blown out by teams who were, I think, both outside the 8 at the time of filming. So, yeah, it's interesting. I think these 2 games against the D's and Roos showed us that we can compete with the best and are definitely a team worthy of making up a number in the top 8. But unfortunately, those big losses before it show that there's probably still a focus or mentality issue that rightfully will have us outside finals this year. But no, I think at least the Bombers are back playing good footy. That is the good news out of this game, because this was not a bad loss at all. We defended really well. We fought hard. We had a deficit to overcome, and we couldn't do it, yes, but we did eat away at it, and for parts of this game, were the better team out there. Obviously, finals is now looking very, very unlikely, and that's a shame after the fast start to the year that we had. But all the girls can really do now is go out and play good footy. Hope it's enough to get the win, and in this case, it wasn't. But if we're at this level next week against the Dogs, or even against the Lions at Windy Hill, it wouldn't surprise me if we go out and get wins there. And of course, if that was the case, our slim finals chances would momentarily stay alive. But yeah, all they can really do is go out and play the best footy they can. And I thought, although this wasn't a perfect performance, it was better than what we saw about a month ago. Now, there are some things to worry about with the team, though. I look at a game like this, and I think there are probably more concerns about a lack of leg speed with our list. We're really good at the contest and strong, and we'll get better when players like Bellany get older, but there isn't much speed through the middle of the ground, and it means that we're pretty reliant on elite ball use, which hasn't exactly been there either. So I think that's probably a big area of focus in 2026, just how we move the footy, and maybe a reason, we kind of take a big step back this year. It shows us we're a long way off competing, and games like this where we're not good enough, have big flaws, but still compete in them, it shows that, if we do make those right changes to the list, a lot can go right in the future. It'll give us a big boost. But yeah, overall, decent performance, just not enough to really get over the line against a better team. Let's get onto the votes. Votes tally, post North Melbourne, Georgia Nanscorn is miles clear. She's the Zach Merritt of the AFLW season, so expect a post-season trade saga with her. Prasparkas and Bonnie are on the podium, and after those three, it's a whole host of players on single digits. Kane, Gaylor, Bannister, Alexander, Wales, Clark, and Georgia G. Georgia Nanscorn is trying to wrap this up quickly. Remember, these are just the votes after last week's game. But here are the votes from last night for me. One vote to Maddie Gay. Her first game back from that knee sprain or ACL sprain. Returned earlier than expected. I was worried how she'd run out the game, but she was great. We really missed her out of the back line in her class with the footy. 2 to Maddie P in game 75. She was awesome in the guts. Got around to win so much of the footy, the most of anyone on the ground. But 3 votes I'm giving to Georgia Clark. It was a slow start to all the defenders, but eventually they clicked into gear, and that back line really got to work. Clark was awesome, intercepting in the air, the most for the team, second most for the game. She even went on a few uncharacteristic runs through the middle of the ground, which you don't see. She was playing with real confidence out there, and in my eyes was our best player. The role player I'm going to give to Holly Riderwood. She just cracks in and gets to work. She's obviously a bit leaner given her age, so can get pushed off the ball by senior bodies, but really classy and skilled, and that goal was a beauty. The season overall for the team isn't the greatest, but seeing Riderwood and Bellany and other youngsters get exposure is going to be great for the future. And those are my votes. Leave yours in the comments below. Alrighty, what round are we up to? Round 9 next week. We've got a very winnable game on our hands here. It is Essendon against the Bulldogs at Whitten Oval. We are, at the time of filming, 11th on the ladder, 3 wins. The Bulldogs are 13th with 2 wins, but they haven't played their game this round. In fact, I'm going to that game tonight. They're taking on the Power at Alberton Oval. I am scouting the opposition, maybe even wearing a Bulldog scarf. But no, I'm keen for this game next week. The Dogs are my second team. If any team was to ever beat Essendon, it is the Dogs, so I'll be watching this pretty happy, because both these teams, realistically, you wouldn't say it's dead rubber, but they're not going to be in the 8 by the end of the year. Whoever wins this does, keep it mathematically possible, I guess. This game is next Friday, back-to-back Friday nighters for the Bombers. But yeah, we really should be winning this. We are the better team, and there wouldn't be an excuse to compete with the D's like we did, only to drop points against the Bulldogs. So yeah, we got to go out and win this game. It'd be disappointing if we didn't. That is all. Get keen for round 9. Cheers for watching, Bomber fans. Like if you enjoyed, subscribe if you're new, and go Bombers.